You're listening to the Stoic Solutions Podcast, practical wisdom for everyday life. I'm Justin Vacula, and this is episode 49, titled Podcast and Personal Updates. Visit my website at stoicsolutionspodcast.com, where you can connect with me on social media and listen to past episodes. Support my work by becoming a donor through Patreon or PayPal to access special rewards, including the ability to have upcoming guests answer your questions, request custom podcast episodes, have group conversations with me and podcast listeners, and one-on-one discussions. Share, comment, like, subscribe, and leave reviews to help support my efforts and keep this project going. Email me with your thoughts. justinvacula@gmail.com. It's now been about a year since I began producing Stoic philosophy content, starting with unedited, unscripted videos on my YouTube channel, hosting in-person discussion groups, and later releasing more polished, edited, and scripted podcast episodes like you're hearing today. I've experienced a good degree of success with this podcast in sharing Stoicism, measured by feedback from listeners, interventions I use in working with elementary school students, and support from guests who have appeared on my podcast. A special thanks goes out to Kai Whiting, who has provided a good deal of support since he appeared on my show. I recently hired a graphic designer to create new channel art and have rebranded as the Stoic Solutions Podcast, also with a new URL at stoicsolutionspodcast.com, Twitter account at Stoic Solutions Podcast, and Facebook page Stoic Solutions Podcast. See more in the show notes. Through many episodes, I've offered feedback on many struggles people face, including loneliness, coping with negative emotions, suicidal thoughts, grief, and guilt. I found myself offering solutions, or at least ways to better tackle lingering concerns, and thus seek to specialize this solution-focused approach and have a unique identity amidst a field of philosophy podcasts, rather than having a more general name. The new image for this podcast includes Greek and Roman imagery, reflecting the origins of Stoicism in the ancient world, and pips, or dots, found on a six-sided die, echoing one of my favorite Stoic passages from Epictetus, in which he talks about imitating those who play at dice. Games have been a major part of my life from an early age, starting with console and handheld games from Super Nintendo, PlayStation, and Game Boy, expanding to board and card games like Hearts and Chess, computer games like World of Warcraft, tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons, and poker, which has had a significant impact on my life. Games inspire me to problem solve, find solutions, question my approach, and have courage in the face of adversity. For more of the benefits of games, specifically Dungeons & Dragons, see episode 38, in which I talk with Dave Gawiri about D&D and the Greyhawk Reborn campaign here in the eastern United States. Epictetus, as I mentioned, along with other Stoic writers, compare games with life, reflecting on elements of chance or fortune and how we should approach life through a process-focused lens rather than focusing so much on results, things largely outside our control. We can make the best efforts, have a measured method, make all the right decisions, but can still come up short. Stoicism teaches us to lower expectations, not have an attitude of entitlement, embrace an attitude of gratitude, and practice acceptance. We're to realize what is inside and outside our control, and have a healthy, reasoned mindset about the world, not relying on what many call luck to favor us, considering the ups and downs of life, the fickleness of fortune, as Seneca talks about in his moral letters to Lucilius. Here's the passage from Epictetus, which informs my new podcast art. How is one to maintain a constant and tranquil mind, and the careful spirit which is not random or hasty? You can do it if you imitate those who play dice. Counters and dice are indifferent. How do I know what is going to turn up? My business is to use what does turn up with diligence and skill. We're often forced to play the hand we're dealt in life, work with the materials we have, weather the ebbing tides of chance, and not be drowned by the storms which can surround us. Stoicism teaches resilience, how to overcome and benefit from adversity. We adjust to the present the best we can, not overly fearing the future, and working to preserve an inner calm. Listen to episode 44, Hold On to a Fraction of Your Sanity, for more on resilience and overcoming adversity. I will continue creating new content, aiming for one new episode a week. Each episode takes about 4 hours to produce. It's a process of writing, finding quotes from Stoic writers to supplement my material, editing, recording, more editing, production, uploading files, and then sharing content. Episodes with guests take even more time, especially in the editing phase, and usually have a final file of about an hour compared to episodes without guests, which range from 10 to 15 minutes. It's lots of effort to create episodes, but I don't want to engage in what Seneca laments as futile halfway measures. It's a way of sharing what I have learned to help others and give back to the Stoic community, which has helped me. I'm also regularly posting content on Facebook, listening to other content creators, reading about Stoicism, and collaborating with others to help improve my content. I plan to post another essay to modernstoicism.com, the second to date, following my earlier piece titled Stoicism and Suicide. More should follow. As mentioned in the podcast intro, I have several rewards for listeners who would like to donate to support my efforts through Patreon or PayPal. Supporters can receive advance notification of podcast guests and the opportunity to have questions included in my conversations with people from many walks of life. Here's a recap of some guests I've had on my show. In episode 12, I spoke with philosophy professor William Irwin about Stoicism and existentialism. Episode 14 featured philosophy professor David Kyle Johnson, who spoke about the benefits of philosophy. Author and filmmaker Kenny Luck joined me to talk about his book Thumbing Through Thoreau for episode 15. Philosopher and fellow Stoic content producer Gregory Sadler joined me for discussion about Stoicism and anger in episode 18. Philosophy professor Regan Lance Reitzma joined me to talk about humility in episode 26. Episode 28 included American Muslim Tim Maloney, who talked about Islam and community activism. Lou Hastings of the Red Road Radio Show joined me to talk about Native American culture in episode 33. Finally, researcher Kai Whiting, previously mentioned, joined me for discussion of his new paper on Stoicism and sustainability on episode 48. I'll be including more guest discussions in future episodes. At a donation level of just $5 a month, your questions can be answered by engaging guests. I'm also offering custom-tailored podcasts for supporters at the $10 level, which allows you to decide content I'll include in a podcast episode, specific to a concern or question you'd like me to answer. The possibilities are numerous. I'll offer Stoic solutions to a topic of your choosing, whether it's personal, a current event, or any subject you'd like me to weigh in on. At the $20 level, you'll have the opportunity for a more interactive discussion with me and other listeners of the podcast about topics of your choosing. Finally, at the $40 level, we can have a private one-on-one discussion about whatever you'd like to talk about. I can bring my familiarity with Stoicism and general life experience to help you in your journey. Thanks for supporting my efforts. Life is pretty good right now. I'm busy working on my master's level mental health counseling degree, consisting of weekly supervision meetings and time spent as a counselor intern in training alongside elementary school students in a school-based behavioral health program. I have the wonderful opportunity to share Stoic wisdom with students in my counseling approach. I'm also playing poker, managing a local philosophical group, exercising, and volunteering with the website and media team for the D&D group I mentioned. I'm balancing work with leisure, adding some weekly travel, PC gaming, and socializing. Thanks for listening and supporting my work. Stay tuned for more content. Visit my website at stoicsolutionspodcast.com, where you can connect with me on social media and listen to past episodes. Support my work by becoming a donor through Patreon or PayPal to access special rewards, including the ability to have upcoming guests answer your questions, request custom podcast episodes, have group conversations with me and podcast listeners, and one-on-one discussions. Share, comment, like, subscribe, and leave reviews to help support my efforts and keep this project going. Email me with your thoughts, justinvacula@gmail.com. Podcast music, used with permission, is brought to you by Phil Giordano's symphonic metal group Fairyland. The song titled Master of the Waves is from their album Score to a New Beginning. Find more information in the show notes.